Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy to have you back this morning. It's Monday morning. I almost got lost on what day it is. This morning I'm thinking I saw some post about, oh, what a way to wake up this Monday morning with wow. And then I thought but it's not Monday today. It is Sunday. Francois, no, it's not. Good morning. Nice to see you again this morning, and glad that you can be with me today. Thank you very much for your time. And let me get this going here. There we go. All right. So how you been? How's things going? I always say, in my life, nothing much has changed. The joys of working from home. Having a business that runs from home always. The one thing that I do miss is going out for my almost daily coffee. But I replaced that with this virtual daily coffee with you. So that's great. So thank you very much if you are here. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope things are going well with you. So yesterday I was thinking about so what will I talk about? Because I've got a long list of things that we can talk about. And it feels like I'm not sure exactly, what everybody wants and what they want to talk about. And then I thought about, one of the main things that I do a lot of, and in fact, one went out again this morning, is emails. And how do we communicate with email? But not only that, I think email has got a variety of facets about it. And I want to explore that today with you and talk about, so I know that the picture said email marketing, but it's about so much more than that. I've written down about seven aspects that I would like to talk to you about today to make that, a bit more concrete and give you a bit more idea of everything that you could do with email, but also, why email in the first place. A lot of people think email is dying. You look at your email open rates, you look at a 20-30% open rate that we can track, versus something like WhatsApp, as I said yesterday, that's got a 98% open rate. So why do that? And I want to talk about that and share with you my views on why email is absolutely important, why it is still critical. And but also, yesterday lying in bed last night, very late, almost at 12 last night, I was thinking about this, and I'm just thinking about, if all the things that I'm going to be talking about, like the risks that there are and why you want that email list, there are some risks associated to email as well, actually. So we got to go beyond. I think the one thing that the current crisis is making us aware of and making us think about is, what are all the things that can actually go wrong? Where can I lose information that I have? What happens if something is there but it's not here? What do I do? So all of those things are very, very important. So I will talk about that in a little bit. But how are you doing? I see we've got some people in on LinkedIn. Good morning, LinkedIn. And then also on YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. You're welcome to post comments in the chat. Please ask me anything you want. It doesn't have to be related to emails. You can ask me anything that's on your mind or on your heart. You're welcome to ask me, and I will do my best to answer those for you. And yeah, so let's get cracking. So I guess the first question is, why email in the first place? What makes email important? So let's talk about why that is. Well, first of all, it gives you a lot more control over, connecting with your clients. A lot of people feel that, social media has replaced the need for that, because I've built a community. I've got this Facebook group. I've got this LinkedIn group. I've got all of these connections. Excuse me. And, but what happens if because what could happen, and it's happening with some social media platforms where I don't want to say they disappear overnight, but they can disappear very quickly when people start withdrawing from using a particular social media platform, which can happen, or laws may change, that render those things obsolete, or that prevents them from existing in the first place. Not that there's anything like that on the horizon, But these are all things that you need to consider. You know, what happens if that business goes bust and that platform does not exist anymore? How are you going to connect with those clients then? Because you don't have any information about them. All you've got them is in a group where you could communicate with them, but you can't email them, you can't phone them, you can't do anything with them. And, you know, again, and yeah, I think from a financial planning perspective, we should consider existing clients versus new and prospective clients as well. Because a lot of times we do these things, yes, to communicate with existing clients, but also then to start building a relationship with new and prospective clients. And yesterday I spoke about that as well in episode 10. But those are the things that I think we need to think about and to say, well, if I've got you on my mailing list, then at least I can continue to communicate with you. I can email you. We can be in touch. You know, there's more of a direct relationship that I can take to the next level by doing that, because in a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group or on your feeds in your social media, you're talking to many people all at once. It's very, very seldom that you actually get to speak to somebody directly. I think yesterday somebody contacted me via Twitter, you know, to ask about, but what is it that you do, etc., etc. And that doesn't happen often. You know, you would mostly get an email. You will mostly get either contact via your website. And the reason why he contacted me via that was because my form on my website wasn't working. And thanks for that. So I fixed that now. But that's the thing. So, you know, email allows us to communicate directly. And even if no social media platform exists in the future, then at least you can still do email. In the States, there's this new notion of going after or getting people to subscribe to texting services, which I think is also very clever. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked into that exactly what makes that different from bulk SMSing. I'm not sure if it's maybe a marriage between bulk SMSing and email kind of stuff, in the sense that, you know, you sit with the client's phone number as well. But that's not something that you would ask for early on. That is something that you would only ask from your existing clients or people that you've been in communication with for a long time, I think. But anyway, this is not about that. The other thing is that, you know, if you do emails, your email list, if you maintain it correctly, if you set it up correctly, you can do a lot of targeted things. So it's very important that you're able to do that. I hope you had your coffee this morning, by the way. I like to interrupt myself sometimes. And yeah, so if your list is set up correctly and you're using tags and those kind of things properly, you know, you can have a very well segmented list. And by having that, you are able to send very targeted, very personalized emails to those people so that they feel that you're talking directly to them. And also when that happens, there tends to be a higher email open rate. You know, because, you know, it's easy when you receive an email to sort of gather whether this is a generic email or whether this is an email for you. Because the more personalized it is, in other words, the more it talks about things that are pertinent to you, the higher the chance that you're going to open that email. Alrighty. And then also, I think the third thing that email allows us to do is to have longer form content, longer conversations. If you think about things like WhatsApp and you send a WhatsApp message, once that thing goes off the screen, very few people will actually read the entire thing. And I did that before, and I'm talking from experience, where, you know, you write these messages which you think, wow, it's on WhatsApp, people is gonna read it. But as soon as that goes off the screen, number one, or even if they then read and it gets to read more, it gets this link where you need to expand it even further. And like, how long is this thing? You know, please, I've got other things to do. So things like WhatsApp and that isn't really built for long form conversation. And particularly if you want to have that, as I said, that personalized conversation, your email allows you to expand a little bit on these things. And I'm going to talk about communicating versus marketing and those kind of things in a second. But I think that is the other thing that is very, very important in terms of why email is important, is because we can have these personalized conversations with people, and we can have it in a longer format. So very, very important. So before I go on to number 2, let me see. Razan, good morning. Nice to have you. Thanks for being here. Peter van der Walt, good morning, Peter. Welcome back. And Kobus Klein, welcome back. I think you haven't missed one almost. We're on episode 11 today, so it's our 11th day in a row that we're doing this, and I'm very happy and proud, and just it gives me a reason to do things. It gets me up in the morning, and just being able to spend some time with you is really special to me. So thank you very much for that. Neil Strydom, welcome back. Saw you here yesterday as well. Thank you very much. Good morning to you, and I really appreciate your time, and just, I think it's a great way to start the morning, even if I have to say so myself. All right, number 2, newsletters versus marketing, because when we think about email, we typically tend to think about newsletters. And what does a typical newsletter look like? Well, a typical newsletter looks like this fantastic, well-designed, beautiful email that you receive. And as soon as that email usually comes in, one of 2 things really happen. Well, one of 3 things, I guess. The one is it either goes directly to spam, because your email account, your spam software, your whatever tool that is that you're using for email, thinks that this is spam because it is so well designed and it is so beautiful. Who sends emails like this? So what it does is it just goes to the spam folder, or if you're using Gmail and those kind of things, it'll go to the promotions tab maybe. And the problem that one sit with is, and I learned this recently, I didn't know this, that if you must go check your email list, how many Gmail accounts you've actually got on there. So where people are using Gmail, when those things tend to land up in the promotions folder, or they then start moving to spam, people tag it as spam and they delete it, then Gmail actually picks up on that. And then any emails that comes from you in the future tends to land up there. I didn't know that. That was phenomenal to me that they would go that far to say, well, if those 3 people, or however many they look at, thinks that this is spam, then this must be spam. So now we will save everybody from spam. And that's not even the case, because the people on your email list was supposed to give you permission to be on there. So please never, ever add people to your email list that haven't given you permission, or who haven't requested to be on your list, or who haven't subscribed themselves on your list. So that's the sad part. You've got people who's given you permission to communicate with them, but those emails don't reach them because they look so beautiful. Yes, it's crazy to think how these things work. But anyway, for me, to really get down to it, newsletters, what is the purpose of newsletters? Newsletters are meant to communicate. They're there to inform. They're there to provide information and even entertainment. I think that is what newsletters are about. That's the reason why you send newsletters. And it's not to say that all newsletters needs to be beautifully designed and all of that. I was just referring to what we find, what is happening. But newsletters, the aim of a newsletter, if you think, but Francois, I've got a newsletter. I think that's the point. I have a newsletter. I'm sending this monthly to my clients, or weekly, or however often you send it. The purpose of a newsletter, when somebody receives your newsletter, they expect information. They expect maybe a bit of entertainment. They want to be, maybe a little bit educated even. But that's what people think about when they get newsletters, or even receiving maybe special offers or something, depending on what kind of business you're in. Those are the kind of things that may be part of a newsletter idea. But then that versus marketing, if we start looking at marketing, if you want to use it as a marketing tool, what is that all about? And marketing for me is all about branding. It's all about creating awareness. It is all about leading down, taking the client and leading them on a journey, or taking them on a journey and leading them down a path to a point where you would want them to be at the end of the day. So newsletters is there to inform. Marketing has got a very specific outcome that you may be looking for. And the beautiful thing is that if you set up your email list correctly and you've used tags correctly, then you are able to take the right person down the right path to get them to where you want them to go. And that is very, very powerful to me. Let me quickly see Richard Hand. Good morning, Richard. Nice to have you here. Welcome. Neil Phillips, back again. Thank you so much. Nice to see you. Good morning, Renata. Renata was a guest on episode 6, was it? We spoke about some interesting business optimization thingies and how to get things, how we should adapt in these times. So you're welcome to go check that out. All right. So what is the next one? I actually already spoke about this. Flashy or plain? That is the question. Should we go flashy or plain? So I already, I think, spoke now about that. But let me do that. Just maybe expand a little bit on what I said already. The whole thing here is that you can design both newsletters and marketing emails either flashy, in other words, beautiful colors, beautiful pictures, lots of links, that kind of stuff. So it looks beautiful, and the designer is very proud of it. The person sending out the email is very proud of it. But then you get to that issue where certain spam filters and things may think that this is in fact spam. They don't know whether you got permission or not. They assume because the law says that you have to get permission. You can't just spam people and put them on your list. So there are provisions for that. But still, in that sense, they still try and filter the spam. That's what they think is spam. Versus the plain option where you send an email like you would send me an email. If you send me an email, I'm pretty sure you're not going to spend 2 hours designing a beautiful email so that you can tell me that you hope I'm safe and that you hope it's going well with me and that there's some information that you think is really important to me that I should read. And then you go on to do that and then send that beautiful email to me. No, you get on your email, you say, "Hi, Francois, I hope you're well, hope the family's well." There we go. There's the point. Oh, here's a link quickly where you can go and check this out. Have a great day. That's how we communicate with one another. And that has sort of been the trend now lately, where people are rather sending plain text emails than having these very beautifully designed emails because they found that they don't get caught up in spam filters so much, and also that they don't, they get better open rates because of that. So there's a whole host of things that will play together in terms of this. And I'll maybe, one of the things I want to think about, I want to talk about today as well, is why do you want to build an email list? I'll do that. I want to do that right at the end. I did speak about why email, but I will look a bit more into the other things. Okay, so let me see. Koba says, I like to refer to it as a stay in touch client email, as newsletters sound like what it is already. Yes, I agree. I've also tried to come up with weird and wonderful new ways to talk about newsletters. So on mine, you'll see our VIP mailing list and things like that. The heading in front of the stay in touch is what is critical and must grab the attention, definitely. So yeah, so those are things that I don't even have on the list, is about how do you craft these emails, and because that's a whole session on its own. All the aspects, and you can do A/B split testing, and you can do all sorts of weird and wonderful things to figure out what works best. So there's a lot of things that you can do to try and optimize your open rate. So you want as many people to open that email as possible. So there's a whole host of things. So somewhere in the week I will expand on this and talk about how do you actually do that, and what are the things that you need to think about when you write emails. I think that is a very, very important thing. So I want to make a note of that. When you write emails. Okay. However, once your value proposition is noteworthy and your emails add value, your clients will want to read them as they are expecting value. That is very, very true. Don't abuse the frequency and keep marketing to a minimum, please. Yes. So this is very important, why tags are so important. So you should be able to distinguish between those who are existing clients and those who are not. Because the whole idea would be to have maybe that, and I'm going to talk now here about ways to build your email list. So let me get into that. With that, I just want to see if there's more comments here. Mora Vaini, welcome Vaini. I hope you're watching me on your big TV and not on your small TV. Razan, personally, I think authenticity trumps all. Form follows function, whether plain or flashy. That's an interesting point. We need to discuss that more so I can understand better. But that makes sense to me. So, yeah. All right. So you're welcome to expand there in the chat on that, what you mean, Razan, exactly with that. Then, so ways to build your email list. Obviously, you can decide only to do an email list only for existing clients. So that is what I've done for a long time in the early days. And then I said, well, you know what? You also need to start talking to people who are not clients at the moment. If you want to build your business and you want to grow your business, but you want the right people on your email list. So you could decide, listen, I'm just going to do a list just for my existing clients so that I can communicate with them. And there I definitely agree with you. You give valuable information, education, entertainment, and then the odd marketing thing if you want. And then, but if you've got some clients on there, or people that are prospective clients, or people who found your information interesting, you would want to market a little bit more to them if they seem to be your ideal client. And there is a way to attract your ideal client to your mailing list. So there's many methods that one could use in order to do that. So you would really want, if you're looking at building your practice, you would want to bring on more people onto your email list than just your existing clients. If you've got a practice that is settled, it's really in a maintenance phase, so you've really gone through the growth that you wanted, you're happy to maintain and work with the odd referral, or you decide you only work with referrals, then you wouldn't want possibly to grow your email list. So it'll be different for different advisors and for different business owners, etc. But those are the kind of things that that one needs to consider. Like all of these things, like in all the sessions, all the things I give you is not things that you have to do all of them. You must go and look at which of those things are great for me, and which of those things will help me build my business, which of those are relevant, which resonate with me, and then you take it from there. So that is the way to do it. Then obviously, how do we get people to sign up to our mailing list if we now want people? What I used to do with my existing clients was I would add them manually. I wouldn't ask them to go and subscribe. I would just ask them, is it okay if I add you? They would say yes, and I could go and add them one by one. Or if I had a bulk list with all of the information, I could import it into the system. And I'll talk about the systems in a bit. But that's one of the ways to do it. How we actually grew our email list, and I stopped doing that, but it worked very, very well for me, is whenever we have face-to-face training sessions, there's always a feedback form that people complete at the end. And one of the questions there is, do you want to join our mailing list? And then a lot of the people always say yes, please, because now they've gotten to experience you, they've gotten to hear what comes out of your mouth. There's already something there. So that was a very easy way for me to grow my email list quite aggressively, and it's something that we'll start doing again. And but that's one way. The other way is obviously to have a sign up on your website, and you can have this in different ways on your website. You could literally just, like most people have got, sign up for our newsletter, or sign up for our stay in touch, or sign up for our VIP mailing list, or join our VIP community, and usually you have to sell that to them in a few ways. Maybe you need to sell to them what they're going to get, what to expect, and the fact that you won't abuse their email address, and that you won't share it with anybody, and that they can always unsubscribe at any point in time. So those things are all important to make sure that when people subscribe, they must feel safe, and they must know, because they're not just going to hand over their email address as well. And sometimes they need more than that, than just surety that you're not going to abuse their email address. And you may need to offer them something. And there's a few things that you can do in that sense. A lot of people they've got what is called lead magnets, but it's just basically usually an ebook or a video series or a series of emails that they will get when they sign up. So it's something of value. And here's the trick with that. So when you have this little ebook, let's say, and you want to build your email list for a particular service that you're giving, so it may be for investment clients, it may be for estate planning clients, it may be for people who are close to retirement, you can have a very specific document, or let's say a PDF or a lead magnet that you could go and create. So let's just say you want to attract people that are close to retirement. You can say, here are 10 or 5 or 15 or 100 things that you need to consider if you are within 5 years of retirement. Now, there's very few people who's not going to want to read that. get your insights and what are the things that we need to think about, because we have been thinking about retirement and we don't know where to start. And then they will click on that and they will give you their name and their email address. Sometimes people only ask for the email address. I believe in at least asking for the first name as well, because then I can personalize better. But then you could through that, when clients are coming in, it is because they are within 5 years of retirement. Most of them, at least, there's always these click fever people that will just subscribe to anything, but you can also remove them manually if you don't like. But you're going to attract those kind of people, whereas having a general, just one lead magnet that just talks about financial planning, very few people are going to do that. They're going to click and give their email address to you if there's something very specific that you talk about that is relevant to them. So there's got to be some thought behind that. And that's a way to then grow your email list, and you start crafting emails. And I'll talk about some of the other things that one could do with email in that way to nurture that new relationship and to give them valuable information, a lot of valuable information about the topic that they sign up for. Because if they sign up to get your book about the 15 things that you should consider if you are within 5 years of retirement, for instance, then they are concerned about retirement. So you don't want to be sending them information about, I don't know, hotspots to go and visit in Joburg and doing things like that. Maybe you want to send them more information about retirement. So where do you start? Because now there's 15 things. Okay, so where do you start? Then do this, then you do this, then you do. I'm just giving an example. I haven't even thought this through. But hopefully you get the idea, is that, and because I know that they downloaded that lead magnet, the system could tag them as people that did that. So doing that could trigger a series of things that will be sent to them, not like in a rush, but you can space it out very nicely in order to give them more about what it is that why they contacted you or why they wanted that download in the first place. All right. Then what else can we do? So I spoke about all of that. So that is sort of the thing, the different ways. And I'm sure if there's other ways of building your email list, people that's done that successfully, please, you're welcome to share that. No more comments yet that I've seen. Alrighty, let's move on. All right. So number 5. Where to build your list. Let me put that up on the screen. I'm even typing it as we go along. So where to build your list? That is the question. And there's really a few. I have my preferences, obviously, and the things that I recommend because I use them myself. But there are quite a few. Usually a lot of people start off with MailChimp. They start off with MailChimp because it's free. You can do quite a lot with MailChimp. But MailChimp does these beautiful design emails. They also have a plain text version that you could send out, or you could choose not to send out an HTML version and just send a plain text one. So there are those options. And they have some automations, and they offer landing pages and all sorts of stuff. But it is limited in terms of the free version. Once you get into the paid tiers, I think you can now have up to 1,000 people on your list. It used to be 2,000. I think you can only have 1,000 on your list. And, so for a lot of people, if you never want to pay, MailChimp is an option. You can do certain things with that. My personal favorite and my recommendation to everybody is ConvertKit. And it costs me money. I pay about, I don't know now, after the rand has really taken a slump at this point, but I used to pay between $450 and $460 a month for it. But it is over and over and over worth it. The amount of things that I can do with that, it integrates with everything I do on my website. So whatever I decide to do on my website or whatever I tend to do in the email, I'm able to automate a lot of stuff. And also what it allows me to do is to create automations and complex automations if I wanted to. So automations mean that if this happens, then send that, or when this happens, add this tag, or when he clicks here, take that tag off. So there's lots of things that I can really manage in terms of those kind of things in order to keep my list clean and in order to send the right information to the right people without having to worry about it. You can also create a lot of other stuff. I'll talk about that in a second, but you can do all of that. But all of these mailing systems can typically do sort of the same thing. There's also Aweber. Aweber, you would have seen if you received some emails that they talk about, they come from Aweber and so on. So you can also look at those. Active Campaign is also a very popular one. But there's a whole host. There are other platforms. People use ClickFunnels if they also have things that they want to sell. But that's not really, I think, appropriate for us, to be honest. I don't know if there are advisors that uses funnels and things like that. But the ClickFunnels, Kajabi, those kind of platforms. We did a course the other day with a guy that runs it through Kajabi. So it also is a very nice system. It's expensive, but there you can do emails and you can do courses and you can do anything around digital content that you want to provide. So that's a little bit off the topic, I think, for what we want. I think the four main ones here is MailChimp and then ConvertKit. ConvertKit now also offers a free tier where they never had free options. You always had to pay. But now for the first 100 people, up to 100 people, you don't pay. So you get them for free. So that's great because if you've got that, you can test it out, see if it works for you, and then you can decide whether this is worth doing or not. And then Aweber and Active Campaign are the others. So if you want to check out ConvertKit, I am an affiliate also of ConvertKit. So if ever anybody through my community goes and signs up, then that helps me in a small way. But you can just go to francois.co.za/ConvertKit, one word, and you'll be able to see it there. But anyway, that's not the reason I am promoting it, by the way. The reason is I've been using it. I've sent thousands of emails through that system. It's been almost a year now that I've been using ConvertKit, and I won't go back. Even if I have to pay 600 Rand a month, I'm happy to do that. All right, so that is where to build. Let me see. Good morning, Godfrey. Welcome. He says, good point about lead magnet. Works every time, especially if targeted. Yes, we've got to be with everything we do. And this is the one thing that social media and emails today, and even in our businesses, we've got to be very targeted. And it all starts off with your ideal client. I spoke about the ideal client in the 21 things that you must consider video and or episode. So go check that out. I speak about that. I am going to do a session just on ideal clients and segmentation. So that's coming up this week as well. This week also I'll have 2 guests. So yeah, very excited for that. I'm waiting for confirmation from them exactly which days, and then I will let you know who and what that will be about. I can tell you it's in the technology space. That's the one thing I can tell you. Both of them happen to be in that space. But it is really, really, I'm very excited to have them on here and have a conversation with other people for a change. So you don't have to just look at my face this early in the morning. All right, the next point is tags. So if I talk about tags is a little thing that you can add to. So it's pretty much the same as what you would do in your CRM, where you might tag somebody as being a category A client, or a B, or a C, or a D, or a platinum, or a gold, or whatever. But you categorize them, and by tagging them, you can, and one person can have multiple tags. So if somebody said, well, they are interested, I mean, have you ever seen, like on Take a Lot, they ask you with their communications, what are you interested in? And you can say outdoor, and I'm interested in technology, and I'm interested in books. And then they tend to send you emails about those things, and you think like, what the hell did these people know? It's like amazing. They know me so well. No, it's because you told them what you wanted, and they then tagged you in their mailing list so that they know which emails to send to who. And that's exactly what tags does. So you can use tags. As I say, you can have multiple tags against the same email address. So that's great because now you don't need separate lists. In the old days, like in MailChimp, I used to do separate lists. I know they do tags now as well. But in the old days, I had to have like multiple lists. And if you have somebody on multiple lists, they will count them twice as a subscriber. Whereas in something like ConvertKit, you have one list, and I can have multiple tags there so that I can target people specifically. And there's so many things that you can do by that. So it's very important that you use tags that make sense and that you tag people whenever they interact with your emails as such. So we've got, for instance, if I could give you an example. So we have people that are tagged in general for Francois du Toit Consulting. Then we've got people tagged for propulsion, and there is an overlap there. There are people who have both the Franchise Way Consulting tag and the Propulsion tag. But the people that sign up on Propulsion's website to our mailing list are not added to Franchise Way Consulting. They are only there. But if somebody signs up there and they're already in my list and they are already tagged for Franchise Way Consulting, they will now also be tagged for Propulsion. So when I send out Propulsion episode notices and letting people know that there's a new episode available, I only send it to those, and you will receive it in that fashion. So it makes it very targeted. You can even go so far that system takes note of your IP address and where you are located. So you can say, well, I only want to send emails to, which I could never do before. Now in ConvertKit, I can actually go and say, only send people to people who are in the Western Cape, for example, or because I've had that before. I send out information about a course, and then people say, it doesn't help you sending me because I'm in Cape Town and this is in Joburg, or the other way around. You send out something that's only applicable in Cape Town, and then everybody else gets it, you know. So that is something that I'll be using more in future, but that's important. So yeah, and once you've got these tags, and they're really, you can really personalize those emails, as I said before. So it just makes it so much more powerful, the things that you are doing in terms of that. It also provides you with insights. You know, if you've got those emails, you can look at the tags, because it gives you a list of the tags, how many people are in there. You can click on it, you can see exactly who's in that tag. So it gives you some insights as well into your audience and what it is that they really, what they're really interested in. And also, you know, if you can send more personalized, more targeted emails, it lowers that unsubscribe. We've got an extremely low unsubscribe rate. I'm very lucky for that. I remember in the beginning, if somebody unsubscribed, I went like, you take it very personally. It's a rejection. And then like, now why? What did I do wrong? What is this? But sometimes people are interested in something, and then a few months later they decide, nah, I'm not so interested anymore. Or maybe they've even left the industry and I don't even know, you know, and then they move on. So from that point, I think it's important again that you know, you want to keep those unsubscribe rates. You know, if you get a lot of unsubscribes, you know something's wrong. You've got to go look at the way you do things. But if it's low, it's good. You know, don't send things to people that don't really want it, and that's not going to read it in any event. Alrighty, so that's the importance of tags. And then I also want to talk about some other aspects that we need to consider in terms of this. Before I do that, let me see quickly. Okay, there's no more comments. Guys, you're welcome to comment. If you're on YouTube, you're welcome to post in the chat. I can bring it up on the screen, and we can answer that. And remember, if there's any other questions that you want to ask, please, you're very welcome to do that. All right, some other aspects. One thing, landing pages. I think I've spoken about landing pages when we spoke about the online world that we operate in episode 5 or 4, somewhere there. That is what we spoke about. But the landing page is essentially a page that is built for one specific purpose. There is a specific outcome you want, and that outcome can be for people to subscribe to your email address. But you've got to sell it to them. You're not going to have a list of things on your web page saying first name, last name, and then worse, even telephone number and then email address. No, you can do that, but you need to sell it to them. You need to explain to them, you know, like, what are they going to get? Why should they sign up? Why should they give up their email address? And then, as I said before, to make that easier, on that landing page, you could be giving them a free gift, or a lead magnet, a book, or a video, or an email series that they will get if they sign up, something that is of value, that is only available to people on the email list. So that's also something to think about, is what can you offer people on your email list to thank them and to say, well, you know, I'm really thankful for you being on my email list and reading my emails and getting my emails. Here's something only for you that is not available to anybody else. So those are kind of things that one could also consider. And obviously in the financial planning space, I mean, I think there's lots that one could do in terms of that in order to provide value. And the other thing I maybe want to throw in here, there are things like seed analytics, for example. I don't know who of you used seed analytics, or you've used them before, or whatever. But seed analytics, for example, has always been a very powerful tool, in my opinion, from a client communication and a client connection point of view, and a staying top of mind point of view. Seed Analytics does an overall view of a client's investments that are with you. So it gives them a bird's eye view of everything they've got. So that it's a consolidated view. It puts all of the investments into one and show them the total capital that they've got and what's happened to that over time. It also shows you your total asset allocation, for example, and then it also breaks it down to per investment, because people do want to look at per investment, because sometimes specific investments are there for specific goals. But you can have both, and they create these statements on a monthly basis, and then you can send it out from their system, and you've got the ability to add a little message to it. So even if you only do something like that, that is definitely an email that people will tend to open, because they want to look at their investment values. They want to know what's going on. But I've seen so often, not just in our practice where I used to be, but also in other people's practices where they've started using something like Seed, for example, that regular, and it's not about Seed, it's not about email marketing, it's about being in touch regularly. They get emails back for clients saying, you know what, I've been meaning to contact you. What about this? What about that? Or sometimes people will just say, yes, I need to increase my RA. Please add this much to the RA or whatever. But you stay top of mind. You don't understand maybe just how powerful that is. You think you are the person's financial advisor, but if they don't hear from you often, they tend to get like, he doesn't care about me, she doesn't care about me. They only phone me when they got something to sell me. But if you've got this regular communication, there's a regular connecting with them, you just build and build and build on that trust, and you stay top of mind. And that is really what it is about at the end of the day. It is not about how much can we sell. It is not about marketing. It's not about how big can I build my list. It is about having that real connection and staying top of mind. Anyway, so landing pages is one thing. Then also forms. You can also create forms, and those forms you can use on your website. Have you ever gone to a website where you scroll, and you get to the bottom, then there's a little form that pops up and asks if you want to subscribe to this? Or, that form can even offer the lead magnet, or it can just prompt them to maybe consider signing up. If they scrolled all the way to the bottom in an article, it means they found it interesting. So they may be interested in getting more of the same kind of thing. And you can have things maybe like what? So you could maybe send people if they sign up, an email with your most popular articles, or your most popular podcast, or your most popular videos, or if you recommend specific things for them to go and watch or listen or read, you can also do that. So there's a lot of value that one can add from that point of view, saying thank you for signing up. Because you're interested in this, I thought you might also be interested in this information because it is pertinent to you. But that is if you are very targeted, then you can definitely do that. Then automation. I did speak already a little bit about automation. Automation is really there so that you don't have to send emails manually. You'll type it once and send it out bulk. That's obviously the one thing. But then what happens after that? If you now said, if you're interested in this, click here. Or if you want to do that, do that. Or what happens if somebody does sign up on your website to the lead magnet? So they want that document. Are you now going to go and type the email and say, yes, Francois, thank you very much for signing up. Here's the link to download the PDF as promised. Are you going to do that? Or would you like those things to be automated? And that's what we can do with automation. You can actually build a whole sequence, even with forks in the road. Like, if this person does that, send them on this path. If this person does that, send them on another path. So you can really do kind of things like that. And the beautiful thing about it is you can do it once. And it's also not always about going and creating new content. You can go and look at previous emails that you've sent out that was maybe of value, and you can use those to be sent out to your clients. But automations is, there's a trigger, an event that happens, and then there's something else that must happen after that. I'll give you an example. For instance, when somebody signs up with me to a course or an online program like the online refresher we've got on the 8th, when they sign up, that then triggers the payment. They pay. Once they've paid, they get into the system. Once they get into the system will register them for the webinar. And once they've registered for the webinar, they get an email saying that welcome, and these are the details, etc. So that's an example of automation. Now, you can do the same, obviously, so some kind of automation that you may do. Let's say you've got a lead magnet where you tell people these are the 15 things you must consider if you are within 5 years of retirement. The first thing is, like, when they sign up, trigger an email that says thank you, and here's the link to download the PDF as promised. Then once they've done, as soon as that goes out, it obviously tag them automatically. You can then also trigger a sequence, which is the next thing I want to talk about, where now automatically they can be added to the sequence for people who are within 5 years of retirement, and you can start sending them emails automatically. And the beautiful thing about this is, if I sign up today, I go into that queue today and I start getting the emails from today. If somebody else signs up a week later, then they go into the queue and they follow the same thing with the same spacing between the emails and everything that you've set up. And that's all part of automation. So all of these things are happening. Your most valuable information is getting sent to your subscribers, and you don't have to go and send those emails manually. So that's really what is very, very powerful with these systems. Sequences, as I said, you can have a series of emails that build one on the other. So you could have let's say the 5 steps to get ready for retirement, and those can be 5 separate emails that you send. You may have, let's just say, so you've written a lot of LinkedIn articles, for example, and you can go and choose the articles that are pertinent to people who's about to retire, and you can have those, each one so it's not that you have to go and create new ones, but there's a series of emails. You can define when they must be sent, how far apart they should be sent, and you can have the first couple, like, if you want, like in quick succession, like a day apart. The first, there's one a day, and then you make it every 3 days, and then 5 days after that. But you can decide, the cadence of those emails, and you can start to foster those relationships. And then you can even, if somebody does something, if you wanted them to do something like schedule an appointment with you, once they click on that thing to do that, then it will stop the email. If not, the email can continue. There may be other emails that comes after that, and then at a point it will obviously stop. You don't want to go on forever and ever. Then also broadcasts, which is the thing that I do most. It's an email that you draft. So it's a standard email. You draft it, and then you send it to everybody on your list. And when you send it, you can go and use those tags to decide who you want to send that to. But that's just really one email being broadcasted to the people that you want it to go to, personalized, all of that kind of stuff. And then also, I think what is important that one needs to consider when you look at the kind of software that you want to use for this is the insights and the tracking that it provides. What is the information that you're getting from this in order to make better decisions for the next one, or to figure out what your audience wants? And you can clearly see, if you look at your things, like which titles or subjects were, for instance, worked better. How did you phrase that versus the ones that didn't? Is it the topic or is it the title? You can go in and you can do split testing. As I said before, they call it A/B split testing. With A/B split testing, you choose 2 different subjects. I do it now and then. I did it with this morning's one. So there was one, I chose 2 different headings. It sends it to a portion of the email list, and then it sees which one gets the most open rates, and then the bulk, the balance of the emails gets sent using that particular subject. So you can do all sorts of things like that, but one gets a lot of insights about the behavior of people when they get these emails, whether they open them or not, where they click, what they do. So it's quite interesting. In MailChimp, I could always see as well that somebody's forwarded my email because their thing would show a lot of opens. So if I see a lot of opens of a particular email for a particular person that received it, I know that they forwarded that email. So that's great. And you would want to encourage people to do that. All right. The YouTubes have been very, very quiet this morning. No comments. I also see, let's see. So Godfrey says, is there like a standard for spacing of emails in a sequence? Godfrey, no. It depends on what it is. And I always tend to go like, what would I not like? What would for me be too much? And I use that as a guide because typically we all feel the same about emails, and we all feel the same. The challenge that I've personally had, or that I've had to deal with, is my impatience. I've got all this information that needs to get out. The hardest thing in the world is to wait and don't send daily emails, don't send weekly emails. because at a point I had a monthly newsletter, then I made it weekly. Then I got some feedback like, yo, it's too much. I don't get to all your stuff. And then I decided, okay, so now, but at the moment I'm sending like every Monday at least. But also, and the one thing you could do is also maybe decide on a bit of a rhythm, in the sense that on a Monday or Tuesday or whenever you send your, let's say, an informational newsletter, and then maybe on the Thursday or the Friday, you can send more of a marketing email in that sense. But it depends on your audience, where you are in your business, what it is you do in your business. So there's a whole host of things to consider. But I think, sending daily emails is too much. I would say at most once a week. Particularly if it's the same kind of email, I would say once a week. At the very, I wouldn't do it more often than that. And but it depends. I don't know. You'll have to ask your audience, how often do they want to hear from you? I guess that's important. So Terence is asking, Terence, nice to see you here on LinkedIn. Doesn't automation remove the personal element and disconnect from current matters? No. So what you should do there is, so you shouldn't automate everything. And that's why. So when you do have something that is maybe only, okay, so let me take one step back. The thing that you should do when you want to automate things, the kind of messages that you put in there should be evergreen content. So that should be content that always applies. So that's why talking about principles, talking about steps to take, talking about those things. So you don't want to be automating things that talks about what's going on in the markets. You would maybe want to, so if you want to say what happened to the JSE and to the Dow and all of these things in the last 2 weeks, that's going to be outdated in the next few months. But what you could do is, what do you do in volatile markets? Because those things they always apply when markets go down. So you want to focus on the automation part, on evergreen content. And then you still can manually send the things that are pertinent right now. Because remember, automation, you will only really use that in sort of 2 ways maybe. The one is when somebody signs up, to send them a series of emails automatically to get them into this thing about who you are and remember that they signed up, and giving them value. And then on the other hand, you can also build automations that, let's say you send that email about what's going on in the markets at the moment. And let's say you say, if you want to talk to me, click here, and they click on that link, that can trigger something else now. It can trigger a new sequence, or it can cause them to be removed from a sequence. So all those kind of things are also part of automation. So automations isn't only sending emails to your client. It is always also doing other things within your email system from that point of view. But in terms of automated emails, you should only use evergreen content for that. So that's a fantastic question, Terence. Thank you for doing that, because I don't think I would have spoken about that. Neil Phillips, I do a monthly email and a weekly blog. Consistency is key. Neil, you speak my language. Preach, my brother. Preach. Don't stop. So, it's definitely very important to be consistent in what you're doing. And also, if you do an email, what you could do is, I don't know if you do that, but you could send like one a month. You could send as a summary of your best articles that you've done. So that will be great. And then he goes on to say, I refer clients to my website to view the blogs, as they are a great source of information. The intention is value add, not sales. Absolutely. But those things tend to, and that's what I'm saying, it's so difficult when you're under pressure, or when you have a lot that you want to give out. And that's where Godfrey's question comes in, is to say, but how often should I be sending this? The tendency is to send daily, or sometimes multiple times a day, emails, because there's so many things that's happening and so many things that you just want to share with people. The hardest thing is to say, well, I'm only going to send my email once a month, and this is going to consist of this. And here's the thing. So I agree with, like, you've got to be driving people to your website, but then your website needs to be designed in such a way that there is purpose, and where you send them to, they must land up where you intended them to land up. And then they must know very easily that, wow, this is for them. And then secondly, what is the next step? What is the next thing they should do on your website? And those kind of things are all important. So it's all part of a bigger strategy in order to build that relationship with that client, etc. So Neil, great work. I think that's a great thing that you're doing. All right. No comments on YouTube. There's some people watching me live here, but I don't have any comments. Say hi if you're in YouTube. Just say, how's it, Francois? If you're watching on your big TV, you won't be able to do that. But say hi if you can. I now have iced tea. Ice, baby. All right. Guys, any comments, any questions you want me to answer? I'll be back tomorrow again at 8 a.m. How did you find today's session? Does it give you value? Is there some valuable information? If you are on YouTube, please give this video a like. It helps us a lot, and consider subscribing if you want to be notified when we go live. Good morning, Juanita. So nice to see you. You see, I didn't even know you were here if you didn't say hi. Thank you so much for saying hi. Thank you for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. If there's anything I can answer for you. Hello, Mark on YouTube. You see, I've got so many friends that are watching, and I don't know you there. You must say hi so I can say hi to you. I love doing that. All right. Guys, please. Hello, Martina. Yes, see. I am really blessed with all of you that's here. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. If you are on YouTube, please consider subscribing. At the moment, the only content I'm putting out is the live streams. I don't have time to do other stuff, but we are planning to do a lot more videos and training and tutorials and things that are applicable. So in that sense, also, I would really, really like to hear, what kind of things would you like me to teach you maybe as well? What kind of software or systems or whatever it is that you are looking to do. I'm looking at doing a whole thing on email marketing as well, where I teach you more about how to use the particular systems, etc. We'll see when I get to that. At the moment, it's really a lot of things going on. And then lastly, I really just want to mention again about the online refresher. Please, if you can support me in that. It's taking place on the 8th of April, and it's going to be online, so it's safe from 9 in the morning until 1 o'clock. It's going to be live. It's via webinar. And we're going on a journey with a client from the time they get engaged to the time they retire, and then somebody passes away, with some interesting things that happen in between. So please join me for that. You can go onto my website, www.francoisdetoy.co.za, and you can sign up there. There's a link that says refreshers, or you can just go francoisdetoy.co.za/online refresher. And then you can sign up there. It's only $3.50 a person. It'd be great to do that. All right. Marky says info as usual. Let me put you on there. Have a great day, everyone. He says, awesome info as usual and great to interact with the outside world. Fantastic. Martina says, added your VCF to my morning daily plan, 8 to 9 book daily. I salute you, Martina. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let me quickly run over to LinkedIn before we finish. Kobe says, hello, Francois. Always excellent value add. Keep the community building up. I will. Thank you very much, Kobe, and for all your support and getting the word out there as well. I really appreciate it. Guys, if you really enjoyed this, tell others, share with the world. Help me reach as many people as possible. I really appreciate it. And on that note, I'm going to say goodbye. Godfrey says, great value indeed, Francois, as always. Thank you, Godfrey. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here, everyone. I know I don't always get to see all the comments, particularly on LinkedIn. I try and focus on what it is that I'm trying to say, because I need to check on my phone what the comments are. Sometimes people say hi and I see it afterwards. But please know that I'm very grateful for everyone to be here. Have a fantastic day. I'll see you back tomorrow. Please keep an eye out on my WhatsApp and everywhere, LinkedIn and that, for what the next topic is. And I'll see you tomorrow, 8 a.m. sharp. Remember your coffee. Cheers.